We just finished watching The War of the Sontarans. I'm with Corey Hurley today, and we're going to review the second episode of Doctor Who Flux. So we're going to start with the story. Corey, what do you think about the episode, the plot?
I'm actually quite happy. Going into this, I was a bit worried they would focus too much on the not Sontaran bits because it was split into three parts. And I was worried that the Temple of Altraphos would get too much of a focus. But I'm really glad that they focused on the two major Sontaran segments because it is called War of the Sontarans. And they really focused on that part and made it the core of the episode, as they should. Now, the pacing was good, lots of action. The opening was pretty good as well. I do think they kind of, tried to explain what happened. I think the Heart of the TARDIS did have an effect, and that's why they got displaced in time. And I found it cool how they got split up. So overall, I was pleased, very, very pleased on the story overall, and I was happy with the direction that they went with. But what do you think, George? Do you agree or disagree?
I extremely emphasize with you. I agree. I enjoyed it, though the only thing I would disagree is the Yaz part. Every time we got to that plot line until like the ending, I was just like, "Ugh, can we just get back to the Sontaran stuff?" Because that was so engaging, and I can't remember the last time I was properly engaged with Doctor Who if I wasn't watching the previous season, the best. I loved every bloody bit with the Sontarans. I know we're going to talk about it with the villains, but I felt like structurally the writing for the episode was moderately decent. The dialogue, I think last week dialogue was a bit, oh god, there's not even a word on how average that is, but with like hearing the Sontarans and other speak, even the Doctor, yeah, Molly, the story was great, and their explanation on how the Sontarans are relevant to the Flux or this story in general was great. Because I was last week, I was like, how is the Sontarans relevant? How to the overall story? Are they just there for Sontarans? Cool hype, but yeah, I liked it. So we're gonna move on to character and villains.
I'm just going to kick it off. We'll do characters as a whole. I just want to kick it off with the Sontarans, like you said, because this is the characters of the whole series that I've been looking forward to the most. You know what? They lived up to my expectations and more. They look like classic Sontarans. They act a bit like the classic Sontarans, but more modernized. I just loved them. They were creepy. They was weird. They were threatening at times. Some of their sarcastic dialogue as well was quite cool as well. And I'm actually intrigued by the inclusion of the new phrase Sontar Ho. Different, and I'm quite actually impressed how they showed on screen. They actually killed one of their own for being foolish in battle. He asked for mercy, and the only mercy he got was his death. Like, that was quite cool. The Doctor, to be fair, pretty good. Pretty happy with the Doctor's character in this episode. Dialogue wise, pretty cool. And then quite a lot of Dan. I like how they split them all up in on their own, and Dan had a chance to work things out, a different way of doing things. I know he doesn't really question things that much, and he goes along with it. But you know what? I'm fine with that. It's a bit different, and I kind of like his approach to life. Really, just get on with it. And I like how he's dove into it. He's happily dove into a Sontaran fleet and tried to take them down. I feel like him and Carvanista is going to be best friends by the end of this. And then you've got Yaz, which obviously this episode is not really designed to look at her, but she has some nice scenes with Vinda. So, yeah, characters overall, I'm impressed, to be honest. But what about you, George? Have you got anything nice to say about PC Yasmin Khan?
No,
What a surprise! What a surprise. Continue.
she was the worst part of it. I'm gonna be honest. Vinda, I would like to see him proceed throughout the series, but I still don't care. The Doctor, I'm impressed with the Doctor actually. I feel like scenes when she was pretending she wasn't the Doctor to the weak Sontaran, the injured Sontaran, that's what I'm gonna call him, she was taking charge. She felt like she had throughout series 12, she's had glimpses of scenes of being the Doctor, not a cosplay Doctor, not a wannabe Doctor, just scenes. And I feel like this episode, I just had that feeling that she was a Doctor, and I want more of those scenes. I wish she was just like that in her previous season. I loved her interactions with the Sontarans. Everyone really, it was great. Dan, oh Danny boy, Dan last week, he was just how do I describe Dan from last week? He was more like a tree, like a school play when someone dresses up as a tree in the
What?
background. But now
Sorry, what?
I feel like he's promoted to be like maybe one of the main characters. I feel like he got stuff to do. I liked him. The Sontarans. Oh my god, they were bold. They were intimidating. They were just like absolutely brilliant. Yes, you could tell with my enthusiasm to a 13th Doctor era episode, this is different and I love it. It's way better than the series 4 Sontarans, and I actually felt when Dan was in danger, I felt he was gonna. I knew he wasn't gonna die, but I felt tense. I felt, please don't kill him, because there were scenes when they killed the weak, injured Sontaran. They shown to be intimidating. They show no mercy. They don't care about your feelings. I love it, and that's what you need in a villain. Yeah, and that's my characters and villains. And overall, I liked it. So next up, we're going to talk about and we're going to give appreciation to the cinematography, the sound, whatever, the visuals.
I think Segun Akinola has really, really found his feet with his music, to be honest. Like, I know people have had issue with him, like, it's too much in the background, it's a bit atmospheric, it's not as, like, prevalent as, like, the Murray Gold soundtrack, but I think he actually really nailed it. Like, I do like quite a few of his tracks, not all of them, but I feel like in general, I am a bit of a fan of his music. But I think for this episode in particular, like the Sontaran theme or the music around the Sontarans or when Dan was sneaking about, I just love the music that accompanied all those scenes. They just really fit really, really well. And it was really, really engaging and it fit the moments and it carried the scenes perfectly. I think Sagan has really, really like excelled with his music. But in other terms of cinematography, I thought the episode looked beautiful, like it was directed really, really well. Like overall, the effects were quite good. Like well done. Like congratulations. Like I know this era as a whole, like across the whole thing, has been like visually a lot better because they have different lenses and they put more money into the production. But I think like well rounded in terms of the whole cinematography.
This episode, while watching it, I was like, this looks rich. Like the BBC and Doctor Who with their budget is oh um yeah, the set pieces, I don't know what it was called, where Yaz and, where they had to repair something. The visuals look absolutely great. The set pieces look like huge and something that actually doesn't feel like a set piece. It feels real, like I can explore inside it, like the Eighth Doctor's TARDIS. I'm loving what I'm seeing. And I think you basically have examined what I wanted to say, Corey. So I think it's that time, Corey, don't you think?
Absolutely.
So on the count of three, we'll say these few words that this whole channel and our viewers would obviously know what we're talking about unless you're new, so subscribe. Okay, Corey?
Yep.
3, 2, 1. The
It's
cringe
time
of the
for
okay.
the cringe of the week. Listen, we're keeping that cut. Listen, we're keeping that because that exemplifies the whole point of the cringe of the week. That was a cringy attempt at it. We're keeping it in. Let's go.
Even you explaining it is actually cringe. Anyways, moving on. Right, Corey, what do you define as cringe of this
You see,
episode?
when I came out of this, I actually thought, was there any cringy moments? And you know what? I've had to really think. I'm not gonna lie. When Dan ran off towards the Sontaran ships, and the way he ran, holding his wok, was a bit funny. I kind of laughed at that. Is that cringy? I'm not too sure. Now, I personally found this line funny, but some might have found it cringy. Have you got anything different? Because I kind of had to really kind of pull them out of thin air in a way.
I,
What have you got?
I believe the only thing I can specify is when Dan is going down that sort of slide and screaming and
Okay.
the visual.
Yeah, I guess. I guess. Oh, I suppose depending on how you view Dan, you could just put Dan Lewis
That
in general.
oh,
To
John
be
Bishop,
honest,
just John
John
Bishop.
Bishop. Just that's I think personally, I think Dan is just John Bishop, like playing himself. I know Farron disagrees, but so what are we gonna say for the cringe of the week?
Dan.
Just Dan Lewis, John Bishop, John Bishop, just acting as himself.
Let's finish up with our final verdict.
overall, I am very confident in saying this is definitely the best and my favourite episode of the Whittaker era so far. I enjoyed it so much. It was a pleasure to see the Sontarans back in action, like on the screen in the modern day with the whole classic feel to it. I feel the story was well put together and it didn't drag. Okay. The only thing that's kind of bewildering me is that 1820s guy. Like, what's he doing there? Why is he there? Why is he relevant? He will be there in the future, of course, but why was he there? That's my final thought of the video. Why was he there? But what about you, George?
I'm going to say something historic right now. It's the best episode of the Whittaker era.
I just said that. That's like historic. Oh no, sorry for you. Sorry. Continue.
Me, gosh,
Sorry.
Courtney, gosh.
Sorry.
I had a lot of fun with this episode, like compared, I mean, it's not even a competition with the last two series, because that was complete wank. This episode was so exciting. I actually left this episode wanting more of the Sontarans. I actually didn't want them to go. I wanted another Sontaran episode. That's how much I actually was so invested with this episode. Right, let's actually read Sam and Farron's thought of this episode. They will be doing the theories video that's coming out in a couple days, and if it's already out, it's going to be at the end credits of this video.
So this is what Farron said, word for word, hot from the group chat. So, I liked it. Better than last week. It was more focused and streamlined. Some parts dragged, but I think it had solid pacing overall. Some of the dialogue I wasn't keen on, but that's to be expected at this point. Loved, in capital letters, the Sontarans, although they were defeated fairly easily. Good historical setting, cool sci-fi concepts, and more Carvanista. 7 out of 10? Yeah, that seems right. What about Sam? What did he think?
I am confident in saying this is the best Chibnall era episode I've seen ever, at least until the end. The setup and the premise was brilliant. The characters were all great for the most part. The Doctor being less annoying, Mary Sue was fine, but didn't really seem needed. So glad that the Dogman came back. The Sontarans were excellent in every way. However, their defeat is pretty anticlimactic. Hoping they fulfill their promise and return. Swarm is also starting to grow on me, really liking his mannerisms and general cynicism. Overall, a great episode, but suffers from a bit of disappointment at the end. I'm going to give this episode a solid 7 out of 10. Some of
You
that.
know what? We've all agreed, and we've all actually come to a decision and agreed. Like, this is good. You know, unlike the last series, like sort of standards, this would be like a full house on the like did not fail. That is quite good actually.
Thank you so much for watching this video. We'll be back next week for episode 3. Make sure to like this video, comment down your thoughts, unless you want to send it on Discord, whatever floats your boat. Anyways, we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Ta-ra for now.